Yeah. Shalom, 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 everybody. How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing? Welcome back to Reading with SHILO, man. We are here to start chapter 4 of On the Real Side by Mr. Mel Watkins, man. Entitled Vaudeville and Earlier 20th Century Black Humor, The Blackening of America. We're gonna see how long this gonna last, man. The power been out down here. It's been storming where I'm at. I hope y'all doing good wherever y'all at. So since the power back on, hey, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Jump right into it and see what it's gonna be. For chapter 4. And see how it go. You know, it's about 6 pages, I think, for section 1. We're only gonna read section 1 in chapter 4 tonight. We will see how the weather holds, because if it starts storming again like it did earlier, then I'm pretty sure the power will go out again. But until then, we're going to get it in with chapter 4. Chapter 4 of On the Real Side by Mel Watkins, the African American, a history of African American comedy from slavery to Chris Rock, and so far so good. Man, we pushing along one page at a time, one section at a time, one chapter at a time, always trying to seek, find, learn, and grow. And if you don't know, now you know. Yeah, man. We're gonna see what's what, man. Well, let's go. Chapter 4. Chapter 4. Chapter 4. This is called Part 2, The Outside. African American comedy on stage, screen, and radio. And it has a picture here of Flower Miller and Audrey Lyles in blackface. Man, that's a crazy look back in the day. That is a crazy look of them back in the day. But vaudeville and early 20th century black humor, the blackening of America. Let's get it started. Come on in, get your paper and your pen, tell a friend, bring your kin. All right. Every cafe now has a dancing coon. Pretty chocolate babies, shake and shimmy everywhere. Real dark town entertainers hold the stage. You must be black up to be the latest rage. Yes, the great white way is white no more. It's just like a street on the Swanee shore. It's getting very dark on Old Broadway. Ziegfeld Follies, 1922. Eavesdropping on human nature is one of the most important parts of comedians' work. Bert Williams. In his style of comedy and dancing, or in his delivery of a song, Bert Williams has an inevitable. Bert Williams was imitated. Let's see. I'm stumbling already. Shit. That pisses me off. INIMITABLE. And I know this word. Inimitable. Let's look it up. Hmm. When we track your stuff, it's funny. It's funny. I'm messing up words at the jump. Make sure I'm pronouncing it right.
Inimitable.
Say it again, go.
Inimitable.
Inimitable. Inimitable. So good or unusual as to be impossible to copy or unique. Inimitable. 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 In his style of comedy and dancing, or in his delivery of a song, Burt Williams was inimitable. No American comedian has ever reached his heights. His facial expressions and pantomime surpassed the greatest clowns. The great Chaplin could hold an audience no better. Henry T. Sampson, Section 1. That was just the beginning. Section 1. By the turn of the century, most blackface performers, white and black, had modified their stage routines to find acceptance in tent shows, road shows, circuses, carnivals, variety shows, even vaudeville, the more polite form of entertainment that had supplanted minstrelsy. It was a transitional period in American, the so-called Age of Reform, between 1890 and World War I. American industry, technology, demography, and popular culture underwent a revision that was more thorough and sweeping than any the nation had previously experienced. Increasingly, America was becoming more an urban nation than a rural one. In 1860, there were only 141 cities with populations of more than 8,000. By 1910, there were 778. Pundits speculated about the loss of deeply rooted values and traditions, which was they speculated correct, and viewed the consequences with pessimism. In the future, the Atlantic Monthly article warned, as never heretofore, our cities, with their multiplying wealth and lavish luxury, are likely to need the country for that steady renewal of their better life, which shall keep them from relaxing into sensuality and sinking into decay. Sensuality, and sinking into decay. In 1877, Thomas Alva Edison filed a patent for the tinfoil cylinder phonograph. Although his recording device would be superseded by Emil Berliner's gramophone, invented in 1887, with its disc recordings, Edison's invention helped usher in the era of commercial recording at the turn of the century. Phonograph records would eventually revolutionize the musical industry, bringing isolated strains of folk music to a national audience and therefore expanding the nation's popular musical tastes. Edison's flickering silent images, which had first appeared in uh, kinoscope parlors in major cities in 1894, began as featured presentations at Costner's and Biles Music Hall in New York City in 1897, and by 1900 had become a regular feature on most variety bills. Subsequently, silent film stars such as Charlie Chaplin, D.W. Griffith, Clara Bow, Douglas Fairbanks, Greta Garbo, Buster Keaton, and Rudolph Valentino would mesmerize Americans until the late 1920s, when a black-faced Al Jolson introduced talkies. It was also a time of transition and adaptation for America's recently freed black population. Reconstruction had failed or succumbed to a combination of neglect and exploitation by northern whites and sabotage by southern whites. In 1888, Benjamin Harris, and the 23rd U.S. president had asserted optimistically, "My colored friends, all men, are now free. You are thrown upon your own resources. The avenues of intelligence and of business success are open to all." Without adequate preparation for freedom, however, these avenues were virtually meaningless. Blacks had been left not only to their own devices, but at the mercy of their former masters. Outside of farm work, which usually meant a dead end sharecropping arrangement that was nearly as repressive as slavery, jobs were scarce. Jim Crow laws and black codes restricted practically every public facet of their lives. And those who resisted the South's new order, or in many cases, even mildly complained, were faced with harassment, intimidation, and the Ku Klux Klan's ultimate deterrent for uncooperative or uppity blacks: lynching. It was,